Hello, it is day 6 of our online math learning. Today is Tuesday, so it is subtraction. Today I have 4 subtraction problems for you, and the 5th one is a word problem, so where you have to write a statement, a tape diagram, and then solve. So our first problem, remember, same thing as it's been, pause the screen, solve on your own. So the first one, go ahead and pause your screen and solve. All right, so now that you're back with me, let's go ahead and solve it together. So we start in our ones place, and we know that if the bottom is bigger, we better borrow. So we can't subtract 0 minus 6. So we have to go over to our next spot and borrow. So I go over to the tens place, and I'm going to take 10 from that. So this becomes a 7, and the 0 then becomes a 10 because we borrowed 10 from there. So now, and I like to, like I said before, I like to make sure that all my spots are okay to subtract before I start subtracting. So I'm going to look. 8 minus 9, I know that the bottom is bigger there, so I'm going to borrow over to the next spot as well. So I'm going to go to the thousands place, take 10 away from that, so it becomes a 2, and the 8 now can become an 18. So 10 minus 6 is 4, 7 minus 2 is 5, 18 minus 9 is 9, and 2 minus 2 is 0. So I can leave it like that, 954. All right, so if you got that one right, virtual high five. Here is the next one. Go ahead and pause your screen and solve. All right, so I can look at my first in the ones column, and 7 minus 6, I can do that. So I can get 1. 9 minus 7 is 2. But then in my hundreds place, you can see that the bottom is bigger, so I have to borrow. So I have to go over to the thousands place and borrow. So the 6 is then going to become a 5. And this 3 now, since I borrowed 10 from the thousands column, becomes a 13. All right, so now I can subtract. 13 minus 9 is 4, and 5 minus 2 is 3. So I got 3,421, and notice that I put my comma in between the hundreds place and the thousands place. All right, your next problem. 3,767 minus 158. Let's go ahead and pause and solve. All right, and then we can see right away that the bottom is bigger here. The 8 is bigger than the 7, so I have to borrow from my tens column. So the 6 becomes a 5. My 7 becomes a 17. 17 minus 8 is 9. 5 minus 5 is 0. 7 minus 1 is 6. 5 minus 0, because there's nothing in the thousands place there, is 5. So I got 5,609. All right, the last one of just the standard way before our word problem is 8,007. So lots of zeros in there, minus 5,133. Let's go ahead and pause and solve. All right, now that you're back with me, we're going to go ahead and solve. And I can already see that some of the bottom is bigger down here. So I'm going to solve the first one, the ones place first. So 7 minus 3, I know that is 4. But then 3 is bigger than 0. So since there's 2 zeros here, I have to go all the way over to my thousands place. So the 8 becomes a 7. And then now that 10 is going to go to this hundreds column. So that becomes a 10. But I still have the bottom is still bigger here. So I have to borrow again from the hundreds place. So that hundreds place, the 10 becomes a 9. And now in my tens place, this 0 can become a 10. So now I'm good to solve the whole thing. So 10 minus 3 is 7. 9 minus 1 is 8, and 7 minus 5 is 2. And I put my comma in there. All right, so that was one of the harder ones that we've done. So you got that one right? Virtual high five. And then now, our word problem. So I made up the problem, so this is not how many kids are actually attending Caseyville, but here's your word problem. There are 7,340 students at Caseyville Elementary School. If 3,019 of the students are girls, how many students are boys? So go ahead and pause the screen. Remember to write a statement, a tape diagram, and solve. All right, the first thing we're gonna do is write a statement. So when I write my statement, I need to find what the question is in the problem. So I'm gonna reread it. There are 7,340 students at Caseyville Elementary School. If 3,019 of the students are girls, how many students are boys? So that is my question. So I'm gonna underline my question, and I'm gonna turn around and make it a statement. So how many students are boys? I'm gonna say blank students are boys. So blank students. I should probably say there are blank. I'm gonna restate that. I'm gonna say there are blank boys at Caseyville School. That makes a little bit more sense there. So there are blank boys at Caseyville School. So now I need to draw a tape diagram. So I'm gonna draw my two boxes, and of course my pen is not working. So I'm gonna draw my two boxes for my tape diagram. So I know that I'm gonna also need the total at the bottom. So these two boxes, they are representing the total amount of students, both of the boxes together. So that means that my total of students is gonna go at the bottom. And I know that number because they told us at the top, there are 7,340 students at Caseyville. So that number is gonna go in my total spot, down there. Now the first box can represent how many girls there are. The second box can represent how many boys there are. So I'm gonna write a G and a B. Now, I know that there are 3,019 girls. So that's gonna go in my girls spot. Now the X is the one we don't know, and we don't know how many boys there are. So I'm gonna put the X in the boys box. So now I need to decide, is this a part whole or a part total? So I know that I have the total and then one of the parts, so I can subtract. So I'm going to subtract 7,340 minus 3,019. Oh man, and I already see that a bottom is bigger there. So I have to borrow already. So the 9 is bigger than the 0, so I have to go to the tens place and borrow from the 4. So the 4 becomes a 3, and the 0 becomes a 10. And then I look across, because I like to double check just to make sure I can subtract everywhere else, and the 3 is bigger than the 0, and the 7 is bigger than that 3, so I'm good to go. So now I'm going to take 10 minus 9, which is 1, and 3 minus 1, which is 4, 3 minus 0, which is 3, 7 minus 3, which is 4. So now I have 4,341. That's how many boys are in the school. So that's gonna go where this X is. So I'm gonna draw my little arrow, and I'm gonna say 4,341. I also can't forget to put that information back in my statement. So I'm gonna find my line that I drew. So there are blank boys. So there are 4,341. So now when I read my statement, I have, there are 4,341 boys at Caseyville School. And I am correct. All right, so if you got that one right, virtual high five. Have a great day. Thank you so much for watching the subtraction video.